Welcome back to IELTS Band 9. Today's lesson is about writing for technical workplaces. One of the most important elements in any kind of writing is to know what kind of grammar skills you need to have and what kind of vocabulary you need to use. Because technical writing, it is specifically designed for you to improve your skills in communication. Within writing, you need to pay attention to the details. The first and foremost important element is to write in active voice. What do I mean by that? When you write in active voice, you're directly communicating with your audience. It is important to address the audience because the audience is supposed to decode your message that you communicate with them. The subject precedes the verb in this case, and in most sentences and highlighted. So remember that passive voice is only designed in writing or communication when you want to not to release some kind of information, which means if you don't want to say who did the action as your subject, or you don't care who did the action, or you don't know who did the action. So passive language is designed for report writing. And also, if you want to avoid blaming someone, for example, you're text messaging your friend or someone that you know, instead of saying that they made a mistake, for example, and they forgot to send you that email, you can say the email was not sent, which is the passive voice. So it is important to know what kind of grammar to use where to adjust your tone. Three important elements that you need to pay attention to is the audience, the purpose, and the tone. Tone, most importantly, is specifically dictated by the proper grammar and the vocabulary that you're using. For technical writing and the proper professional advanced writing in communication, of course, you need to also have concise language. What is the meaning of concise language? When you write in a concise way, you are supposed to avoid wordy language. So you only say what you need to say and you eliminate any other words that they do not serve a purpose within your sentence or within the content that you create to communicate for and by. The next element is fact-based. Anything that you write in professional writing, namely essay writing, for example, in IELTS or any other test, you should only rely on facts. You need to read more to be able to write better. Non-fiction writing will adjust that tone. The next element is objective writing. Objective writing is dictating in your presentation, communication, as well as your written communication. You need to pick the language that is non-biased. So I should avoid my personal opinion instead. I don't need to say I think, I believe. Anything you write is a research base. Anything you write is based on the facts that you read somewhere else, therefore inserting those kind of information to support your idea within your essay. The next element in technical writing is concrete information will fully inform the reader. Why do you only need to rely on nonfiction? From the examples to the supporting details, reasons, facts, results, statistics to support your idea, you need to think about the audience and think that the audience will only need to be informed. So we avoid he said, she said, non-objective or subjective opinion. We also need to pay attention when we have the technical, professional, advanced writing that we have to be straightforward. Remember three keywords that I always remind the students: be concise, be precise, be direct. In business writing, you need to be direct. In email that you communicate within the work ambience, you need to be direct, polite, direct, warm, friendly, but direct to the point. You don't need to have unnecessary information. You need to ask yourself, if my sentence serves a purpose, I keep it there. If it doesn't serve a purpose, you remove it from the content that you create. So these are the most important elements that you need to evaluate when you're writing. Any kind of topic that you receive to write in business, as well as any kind of tests, professional tests or proficiency tests, very much the same as IELTS that you're taking. You need to think about the purpose. You need to think about the audience, the content that you create, the document life. You need to do a little bit of a due diligence and your research. Liability of the document is very important. You need to think about, is this document good enough? Is this document the truth and accurate that I can use it? And before you start writing. Something else that you need to keep that in mind is you always keep the readers as the center, because your audience is the other side of the communication that they need to decode your message. So the message that you create is encoded by your thoughts, by the facts supported by the examples. You're trying to send a message to your audience. You need to focus on how the audience would definitely react, or how would they be able to decode your kind of message. So in order to do that, you need to think about who is the target audience. They give you an essay topic, or in business that you're writing, you need to know who exactly is your target audience. Once it is clear, if it is internal, if it is external, and if you need to adjust your tone, informal, how much of a detail you need to add, and so on. Because sometimes when you send an email in business ambience, you need to be careful not to reply all, as I always suggest to the professionals executives that I'm training. The next one, what are their perspectives on the topic? So you need to read your own writing, your own communication message, and put yourself in the shoes of the audience and think about, okay, what would they think? And what would I think if I were my own audience? In order to do that, you need to have a good perspective on the topic, on anything that you communicate and any document that you share. So you need to be careful about the role and the relationship of the reader, if it is positive, if it is negative. That is the main reason that you need to avoid passive language in your writing. You need to think about active language, and you need to make sure that you avoid writing pronouns like I and we. First pronouns, first person pronouns, plural or singular, I or we, are not suggested in professional and advanced writing. They make your writing dull. They make your writing not very professional. You need to use you, for example, address the audience directly. So think about the audience as the audience, or the reader of your communication content is the center of your writing. It is very important to have a reason that you create any kind of information. The goal of your writing is the purpose of creating that message. So remember that asking yourself this question, why am I writing, or why am I trying to communicate? From a very single text message that you create, you can simply think about, who am I sending, which is the audience? Why am I writing, the reason or the purpose that you're creating that message, and how am I writing? It means I need to adjust my tone. The text message that you're writing it down to your employer is different than the text message to your friends or the loved ones. What do I want them to learn as a result of reading the information? So always put yourself in their shoes in order to communicate in a clear, concise, and precise way. And you always ask yourself, how can I plan to the content to meet the reader's need? The next element is, what does my reader need to know to be able to act? So you don't need to give extra information to confuse your reader. You need to just give them as much as information that they need to know to be able to cooperate with you and fulfill that loop. For example, you're asking a question, you just give that kind of information that they need to know. What kind of information would help the reader understand the situation to make the decision? Sometimes we need to send the context. If they're clear about something, they would be able to have a better decision making. This style of writing is a professional style of writing in business and in test taking, proficiency test taking, both. You need to follow these steps. You can also ask yourself, what is the reader's degree of expertise on the subject? Can I use jargons? Can I use technical words? If I know that the reader is not, for example, as technical in mind, if I'm in an engineering background and I'm using the technical language to public, then it's going to be a problem because the message would not be understood properly. Once again, this kind of technical writing, it is essential, these skills to be learned by professionals in business, as well as anyone who is taking the proficiency test. What does the reader already know? If they already know, you can just declutter your writing and make sure that your writing is in a concise way. And what does the reader need to know is another element that you need to focus on. The last one in assessing your audience is, what is my reader's goal per se? What does the audience want or need to read in this document? And we give the information as much as they need to have. We write the reports. For example, if you're taking language proficiency or in business writing, you write the proposals. You need to have that proposal presentation. When you write the report, you need to do your research a little bit. You need to be aware of how that research is done and who exactly is going to read that specific writing. The tone is the next element, next and last element for the lesson today. Tone refers to the attitude that you write. Is your attitude angry? If your attitude is polite but strict, if your attitude is caring, sympathetic, empathetic. So always make sure that you avoid any negative tone within your writing. For example, if I want to say that I did not receive that document, once again, I can use passive voice. I say, the department hasn't received the document yet. It is optimistic instead of not. I avoid using angry tone, and I avoid using sarcastic or cynical tone and so on. I always keep it optimistic, and the tone in technical writing and in professional writing is a most important step. So the word choices would be considered as diction. Any word that you select, check the dictionary and see if that word is serving a good purpose. Does that mean exactly what you have in mind and you want to say? The word order is the syntax, the sentence construction, and the viewpoint will also create a better and more formal tone. So to have that tone, you need to select good grammar, good vocabulary, as well as having proper adjustable, polite, empathetic, and logical tone. And therefore, you need to make sure that you don't use the first person. You use the second person, avoid I and you, and to have the better writing. I hope this lesson helps you today, and follow and subscribe for more technical writing in business and professional testing. Have a great day.